We are now down to 2 teams left in college basketball. 1 game remaining. Final Four Saturday is a wrap. And I'll be honest, disappointment. Uconn and Illinois at least gave us a game. This other game is wrapping up right now, and I decided to just go ahead and film early. There's now 2:34 left. It's 90-68 right now. Michigan has been throttling them start to finish. It has never once felt like a game. I guess you could argue early until maybe the Jaden Bradley third foul, the second offensive foul for him. Maybe at that point you can say, like, all right, now it kind of got out of hand. But overall, I mean, this has been... I mean, we got the John Rothstein Michigan by TKO tweet at like the 15 and some change mark. It's unbelievable, man. Absolutely unbelievable. I usually want to lead off these by talking about the game that's most recent because it's fresh on your mind. Because it's usually like, oh, it's a great game, great finish. You got to start, like, you don't even really need to with this. I'll talk about that one second. I'm going to start with Uconn and Illinois, which was the better of the 2 games, which I thought part of me, I'll be honest, sorry, Uconn fans. Every time I doubt you, I mean, you keep winning. So I guess if you're a Uconn fan tuning into this, then just keep praying that I go against you, because I was kind of in the boat of like Chuck. I thought this would be a coin flip. I thought it could go either way. Wouldn't surprise me either way if somebody won this game. But I thought if it got out of hand, it'd be Illinois taking it out of hand. And that was not the case. This was a game that Uconn led for essentially the entire game. It was good early. But Braylon Mullins, it feels like that shot against Duke just got him in a different mode. Like he just came out exactly where he left off and started out hot. He was hitting shots inside. He was getting euros and he was getting like threes to fall. It was unbelievable. And honestly, early in this game, it was a pretty good game overall. There weren't many turnovers from either side. And Uconn, an incredible stat that I'll bring up here in a second about their turnovers. And then Uconn starts to turn over in Illinois, and that was kind of it. This is obviously college basketball. It comes down to making shots and missing shots, and well, Uconn did the makes, and Illinois did a lot of the misses, and that was kind of the story of it. I mean, at halftime, Illinois was shooting 10 for 29 from the field, 3 for 14 from 3. It was just they could never get one to go. Like, they just continued to not be able to hit anything. Like, there was even the one sitter that they had in the second half, I think it was, where it sat on the rim. Like, the dude, if you're on like Twitter way too much like I am, Ant Wright, Big Ten guy, whatever, he put like a compilation of all of Illinois' like brutal misses on there, in like a full Twitter video, and it's like a long video, and it's like, dude, how did none of these go in? How did these all miss? It's unbelievable. Some of that is credit to Uconn, but a lot of them, they were really good looks and they just didn't fall, which is sometimes what you got to bank on a little bit defensively when you're going through a March run and stuff, and you're not going to be able to just sit there and 0-4 Pistons every team. But they fought, they battled, they had a ton. Uconn did a ton from many different guys offensively and had a ton from many different guys defensively. So, I mean, at halftime, it was 9 assists to 1 assist for Uconn, leading that one. And then, yeah, Uconn still 0 turnovers at half. And it was 2 turnovers on the other side. And I mean, they had 6 points off of turnovers. Uconn did. So it was not necessarily belt. You can't say belt. I mean, yeah, actually, you can gladly pull out the belt after this game against Arizona, which I'm still absolutely amazed about. But overall, it was... early on in this one, it was kind of the Terrace Reed show once again, as he's done all tournament. And then, like I said, Braylon Mullins kind of got started off where he left off with the shot against Duke. And he came out, I think he was 3 for 5 from 3 early in the first half. And he was just a big part of why they were so good. And, I mean, they just run so many great sets for him. And even the set at the end of the game where he hits a big 3 and Wagler responds. So it's not like it was like that was the dagger. But that was essentially the dagger that like ended things, where it felt like where I think it was like it was either a give and go or a pick and roll or something, and he like acted like he was just rolling or whatever, and then I think it was Terrace that set an off ball, and he's coming off of that and curled it, hit the 3 right away, and And that was it. It was barbecue chicken from there. So what a game for the Huskies, man. It was awesome. This was unfortunately for Illinois not David Mirkovic's best game ever played. We can put it that way. He hit the 1-3 in the second half. That was like, all right, well, maybe he can finally get going, and that was not the case. Like, the Illini, to make any push to where it would have felt like they were going to win this game, to me, it was going to take like him getting going, Jake Davis getting going, Ben Hummerkaus getting going. He hit the 1-3 as well. Like, they just didn't have enough. Like, Wagler brought a ton. Tomislav Ivicic, he brought a ton of tough buckets late, but he also was a big part of that compilation I was talking about where he just could not get some shots to fall, and it was really, really unfortunate. The Uconn turnover that I want to mention, just because I'm at that point in the notes here. Their first turnover in this one was with 12-ish left in the game. It had been 38 straight minutes of game time without a turnover. Their last turnover was the 10-ish mark left in the second half of Duke. Then they made their comeback and all that without having a turnover. They went the whole first half in 8 and some change or 7 and some change minutes in this one before they turned it over again. Unbelievable to be able to have that many guards where at times this year you were like, well, Solo hasn't really made that leap that you were hoping he'd make. And then Silas Demery, he's battled some different things this year. And then Braylon Mullins, it's like, well, there's been some crazy tweets that I've seen from Uconn fans. But then you get to this point where they're just taking care of it as good as anybody. And this game has just now wrapped up. Michigan 91, Arizona 73. Man, I'll get to that here in a minute. But yeah, it's just amazing to be able to sit there and go 38 minutes of game time, essentially, and not turn the ball over. That's a big reason on why, even when some shots aren't falling. Because, like, I've been talking about Illinois not hitting some shots. I mean, UConn had their fair share as well. And then, I mean, they had some bounces that ended up going in. I think Solo had one late. I know Braylon had a bank shot late. Like, there was a couple of them where I was like, all right, man. But, yeah, I mean, Silas Demery, he needs some respect because he's the one that got the rebound for the Braylon 3 that kind of is the makeshift dagger. I know Keaton Wagler hit the 3 right after that, but that was the one where it was like I've always said, like, time is your absolute best friend at that point. So nothing else matters other than like being able to kill the clock when you're up and you're sitting at that mode and just being able to like control it. So Silas gets the rebound and then Braylon hits the 3, and I think it was like 55, 56 seconds off, somewhere around there. But it was super, super important, and those type plays are what gets you to championship games and gets you in that. Now it's just the Uconn mindset, championship mindset. They just continue to win and win and win and win. But for Illinois, I'll say before I get into some Uconn glazing, I guess, about some of their stats and stuff. It's just unfortunate. Illinois is just like can't get past UConn. I'll get to that here in a second. But overall, I mean, this is quite the year. I know there's some losses that you look back on and you're like, well, that just kind of stinks. But you made a Final Four for the first time since 2005. You went 28-9, finished second in the Big Ten. And overall, I mean, you didn't necessarily have, in my opinion, a ton of like, oh no, that's a bad loss. Like you have the Wisconsin, Michigan, UCLA, or Wisconsin twice, and then Michigan State, then there's Bama, Nebraska, UConn. Like the list is not bad. It's not a bad list at all. Obviously the UConn twice is the one that really hurts the most because you're a different team when you're getting to play UConn this time, but it ended up not mattering in this instance. But I mean, this group of guys, like, I know the joke with them was that they're not PR trained and all this different stuff, but that's what made them so much fun. Like, those type teams are the ones that make college basketball fun. Like, I can't even repeat most of the stuff that they say. You can go find it on your own. But these guys were an absolute blast to follow all year. I was enjoying the Super Soaker run where they'd just be pulling out the Nerf Super Soakers or whatever it was in the locker room and climbing up on the lockers and stuff. That was a ton of fun. The media, everything that they had involved in media was awesome, and you could just tell this group meant a ton to Coach Underwood and that staff and everything because they gelled so well together throughout the year, and they had they had the talent, and it just stinks because you kind of ran into a buzzsaw. Like when things are going right, and destiny is a real thing when it comes to this sport, and when you have somebody like Uconn that wins a game when they're down 2 and the other team has the ball and they're probably just gonna have to foul, and they end up getting a turnover and hit a 33-foot jumper. It's just one of those things where it's like destiny strikes, and it was really unfortunate, and it stinks to know that a lot of these guys you'll only really have for 1 year. I know, but Boswell's end of his career. He didn't necessarily play a great game. I didn't think he did terrible by any means, but they just kind of kept him out of it. It felt like there wasn't a ton that he was able to do. Keaton Logler had some good moments, bad moments. They just made everything extremely difficult because he'd get to a spot like he always does. Really, really good player, good NBA player, and coming soon. But then it was like the Uconn. I mean, whether it would be help defense or completely selling out on a closeout because you know exactly where he's trying to get to after that based on watching film and different stuff. They made everything extremely difficult for him. So it stinks to see that. Stojakovic came in and gave some good minutes tonight in this one, but just was not enough when it was all said and done. So that was unfortunate. But you fought. It just really stinks because it's just UConn. I know I said after the Elite Eight games, I was like, maybe Illinois is like in a little bit of a mindset of like, well, it's not Duke. Like, maybe we can beat UConn. We've already played them once. But it's just like, this is probably just the team you never want to see under any circumstances. So you probably would have rather seen Duke, no matter how good they looked at the time. But UConn, man, they just continue to do it. They just freaking win. And a big reason why is Terrace Reed. Like I said, in this one, he finished with 17 and 11. And this was with a not great start to the second half. That was the crazy part of it, is he was slow getting rolling in that second half. And he doesn't have like the assist numbers to show it, but the gravity that he was able to bring, that would, whether it was like a hockey assist or just to be able to like disrupt some things defensively because of how good he's been, it was, you really can't put it on the stat sheet. He was incredible. And his run in March Madness so far, 31 points, 27 rebounds, 3 assists, 10 points, 13 rebounds, 3 blocks, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, 26 points, 9 rebounds, 2 steals, 4 blocks, 17 points, 11 rebounds, and went 5 for 5 from the free throw line for a guy that doesn't really make free throws that well. And I know it wasn't like necessarily tied up 1, up 2. It wasn't like the craziest close game you've ever seen, but it was close enough to where you're going to have to knock down some free throws there towards the end. And as a guy that shoots, 59.4% from the line, he was able to knock them down and clutch up when it was needed most. So big win for him, and the stats continue to roll in for him, and they're just unbelievable. UConn is now 18-1 in the last 4 NCAA tournaments under Dan Hurley, who has a 20-5 career record in March Madness. The only head coach with a better winning percentage in the NCAA tournament than him is John Wooden. They popped up that graphic on there where it was John Wooden, 47-10. Dan Hurley now 20-5. Coach K is right behind him, Roy Williams behind him, Billy Donovan behind him. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. It's crazy. The program also, because the stat has been like, it's either like a down year or you win the championship. There's been like no in between. It's a roller coaster program overall. They're now 13-1 in program history in the Final Four. They've never lost a national championship game. They're going to have their hands full on Monday. But they've never lost in the national championship before this, and they've only lost 1 time in the Final Four. I believe 2009, if I'm not incorrect. The other wild stat, Jeff Borzella put this out. Illinois fewest points in a game over the last 3 seasons, 52 points versus UConn in the 2024 Elite Eight, the 30-0 run. Very famous game. 61 points scored November 28th, 2025 versus UConn earlier this season, and then 62 points, 2026 Final Four against UConn. UConn is the scariest thing an Illinois fan can see. And I know their fans were getting a lot of crap for all the taunting and stuff. That's UConn. I'm not saying it's okay, not saying it's the worst thing in the world. I'll leave my opinion to myself, but that's UConn. That is so UConn to be after the game not able to like win with the utmost class, and then you go over to where the escalator is to make sure you're saying goodbye to all the Illinois fans, which traveled well. Illinois packed that place and showed out well. And, I mean, they fought. They made a better game than Arizona did. So, yeah. I mean, they at least showed up a little bit. It was just unfortunate. It was one of those nights where shots weren't falling, and you're just not supposed to win on some of those nights. Moving on to the next one. I tweeted out as a thing late in this one, after the Michigan by TKO, after all this stuff, I think it was when they went up 30 at one point, I had said Howard played Michigan better than Arizona is. And I know it's a completely different world where Michigan's probably thinking that they're just going to like lay over and they'll win that game by 40. And in this one, they're coming in dialed and locked in and all that. But still, my point has been proven. They won by 18 points tonight. This game was the one I think me, including everyone in America that loves college basketball, was looking forward to the most. I don't think any person, I want to meet the man and I want to shake their hand if they said this was going to happen. This is crazy. Like, I would imagine there was probably some Michigan fan that had too much to drink one night that said this was going to happen. Nobody had this on their radar. I picked Arizona to win the ball game. I also picked Illinois. So, like I said, if you're UConn or Michigan, I guess, if I go against you, man, I'm just helping you out. I did think every bracket I made, I had Arizona and Michigan. I did not see Iowa State, even with healthy Joshua Jefferson. I didn't see them beating them. Especially the fuel, which this is another year of where conference tournament champion is not going to win a national championship. So I don't know if you want to really do the research on that and see how often that happens. But nonetheless, Arizona wins their conference championship. They play Michigan, and they have a more recent loss in the conference championship to Purdue, and then they come on this crazy run right here. So I had these two meeting the entire time, and I had Arizona winning, and I would say I probably had it half and half. But I always do one main bracket. It's this one right here. And what my actual thoughts were is Arizona will win this game because of guard play. Elliot Cadeau is the one X factor for me that I said, I've seen a lot of Elliot Cadeau basketball, but I don't think he'll have enough. That was the one thing. I don't think he's going to be able to compete with a Jaden Bradley and a Braden Burries. Because even on their worst day, they're still able to compete with him. On Elliot Cadeau's worst day, we've seen what it was. When he played Duke, that's the type of outcome I was scared of. And that's why I was scared to fully put my trust in Michigan. What does that X factor do to start this game? Threes, mid-range on drop coverage, assist off of steals, takes a charge. It couldn't have been a better start. It was 10-1 by the time you looked up. And part of it was without Yaxel. Yaxel had 2 fouls in the first minute and 22 in this game. They had 4 field goals from 4 different people. It was Elliott, Mara, Marez Johnson, and I want to say it was Damari Burnett is the one that hit the first 3 off that inbounds play. 10-1, 4 field goals, 4 different people. It was unbelievable. It was the best start ever, and there was part of it where I don't remember even what the score was, what the run was, but Arizona made a little bit of a push with a few minutes left in the first half. Then Michigan ended on a big run and everything, and those are the real minutes. The middle eight is what really matters. So they just dominated. They completely dominated this game from start to finish. At halftime, 9 turnovers for Arizona. I don't even know what they ended with. They had 14. Michigan ended up with 13, but they had 4 at half. Some of them were just kind of junk late. I'll be honest. But man, like Elliot Cadeau was the best guard in the game, and I just never thought. I thought if Michigan was going to win this, he would have to be on par with them. I didn't think he would exceed what they do, but the length of Michigan just absolutely took him out of this game. Like, I've watched Michigan all year. These dudes have played 39 basketball games at this point. If I wasn't locked in watching the game, I at least kept up with it on my phone and watched some of the highlights. I've been following this team the entire year when they were playing bad schools, when they were playing in Vegas, when they were playing this whole tournament run right here. Tonight, again, like for the 20th time this year, I'm like, how do they have dudes that are that big that move that well? And it's like, they're so smart, which is credit to Coach May and his staff. It just blows my mind that, like, they have humans that are that big, that move that well, and they can all play so well together. There was one where Marez Johnson had, I want to say it was a rebound, and there was a little bit of physicality. There were like 2 guys pushing on him, and he was so patient that he waited until like the second guy came over and dumps it to a Damara, and he just dunks it. And it was like, these dudes, like, bigs don't play that well together anymore. It's more of like all right, so I'm like a stretch 4, so I'm going to float out here, while you're a true 5, so you're going to like stay down low, and you're going to play back to the basket, and that's how you're going to play. And we won't play super well off of each other. I might cut from time to time, and you'll have to find me when that happens. These dudes know exactly where everybody is at the exact same time, and like they are all in sync every single play, and they never let up. They absolutely never let up. Yaxel, like I said, 2 fouls, first minute 22. And it was like, all right, so the Big Ten Player of the Year, one of the best players in all of America, has now had to exit the game. What does this look like? Is Arizona going to make a run? No, Michigan just made a run right there. So then he comes back in, leaves for a second time. He steps on Mo Crevis's foot. I want to say he went 2 for 2 from the line right there, just some Kobe stuff. But he leaves again. Arizona made a run. They brought back Jaden Bradley. I think that's when they had brought him back in because after that, they were making their little run, making a little push. But then, like I said at the beginning of this, is Jaden Bradley had the third foul, which was, I'll be honest, I have no dog in the fight. I'm not a Michigan fan. I'm not an Arizona fan. I'm not a Big Ten fan. I'm not a Big 12 fan. I like college basketball. That was a terrible call by Doug Shouse. What he did there, I am 1,000% on. If you go and you lean and you extend your whole arm, that should be 1,000% offensive foul every single time. Because there's zero way to defend it. That's just completely cheating the game. That third foul with 5:09 left in the first was not an offensive foul. It wasn't a defensive foul. It was just a basketball play. He extended barely. If that's a foul, that should be called 25 times a game across every game in America. Doug Shouse, you suck, man. Now, obviously, he had some great calls throughout the game. That one was just annoying because that effectively ended it. In hindsight's 2020. I didn't think at the time. I was like, oh, well, now they're just going to get up 30 at some point. I didn't think that. But it was like a third foul with 5 minutes remaining. Like, you could find yourself in a situation where you just accidentally slide to play and then you get this blocking foul, and then you're sitting there with 4 fouls going into the break. Like, you have to get the man out at that point. Like, you have to get him out after his third, which they did, and that kind of ended it. But like I said, they never, ever, 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 ever let up. It was unbelievable. There was one play late when I'm talking about, like, the length of the team and everything. They only had 3 blocks. So you can't look at, like, what's on black and white, what's on the stat sheet whenever you're talking about, like, how good this team is at protecting the rim. There was one play late where Ivan Karchenkov had this, he, like, ripped from the wing going to the left side. And I want to say it wasn't even Mara, it wasn't even Johnson. I think it was just Yaxel and then maybe, like, Burnett and Roddy Gale. And obviously that dude has gone against some of the top guys, some of the tallest dudes in the Big 12, some of the most physical guys in the Big 12, and he's not been, like, scared of it. That one, like, they were so rattled that Karchenkov, he goes in and goes up and, like, pump fakes. And this is a Yaxel that's on one leg at this point. Not even doing anything, really. And he goes and tries to finish on the other side and misses it, and they just get the rebound and they're going the other way. And it was like, that wasn't even necessary at all. That was exactly what Michigan was doing all night, and it was absolutely unbelievable. Adai Mara, what a freaking game. What a freaking game. 26 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks. Unbelievable. He was a big part of what it was. I mean, it was really the big 3, literally and figuratively. That's the reason that they were able to, like, have this relentless effort. Like, Elliot Cadeau was awesome all night. I can't speak, like, I can't even say enough words about him. Like, the 6 turnovers, I don't even remember. I remember, like, 3. He was unbelievable. 13 points, 5 rebounds, 10 assists, 4 steals. He was involved in every single play while there was ever a chance of Arizona being alive in this one. Good, bad, no, not even really bad. Good on offense, defense, whatever it was. He was a part of it every single play. Like, it was awesome. There was one play late that I just took note of. I think this is actually late in the first half, where Anthony Del Orso checks in, which also I'm going to miss watching his shot now that the Arizona season's over. Del Orso hits a 3, and it was like, all right, sweet. By the time it got to the other side, there was a 3 shot, I think by Trey McKinney, and it was a soft enough miss to where Merez Johnson got the putback and one dunk on somebody, whoever it was. I can't remember who it was. And it was like the camera just got down to the end. Like, that's how fast they just got out. It was like nothing rattled them. It was just foot on the gas the entire time. And that's just Michigan basketball, dude. That is exactly what they're just foot on the gas, foot on their throat, nothing easy. And that was the story of it. Like, literally, on the other side of things, like, I don't even know what his numbers ended up like. yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of looks like he was able to do it. Like, Toby Awaka was the only dude that actually hung in there. Like, he was the only guy the entire time where you were like, all right, this guy, like, if they're going to do anything, it's going to be Toby Awaka. He finished with 8 points and 9 rebounds. Like, it was really just him. Mo Krivos did some good things at different times, but, like, by the time he was getting going, it was kind of over. It was wrapped. So it was 48 to 32 at halftime. And that doesn't even really do it justice. It was absolute belt the entire time. Braden Burries couldn't ever, he had a terrible start. I think his first points ended up being at the free throw line. He was like 0 for 4 at that point. And without Jaden Bradley in there, it was kind of his show to run, and he was just getting absolutely swarmed. And he goes 2 for 10 from 3, 4 for 16 from the field. And it just wasn't a great game for him. It was not the Braden Burries that we've all known and loved throughout this year, and it was unfortunate. Cole Pete played pretty well. He kind of had one of those moments where you were like, oh, shoot, he's going to take over. There was a couple times where I thought for a moment, I was like, is he gonna do it? He had 16 points, 11 rebounds, and tried his best to keep them in it, but it was just kind of too much and too little too late. Karchenkov only had 6. Like I mentioned, the one he missed the 3. That was, I'm pretty sure it was his shot. There was a pretty good look, missed it, and it was like, yeah, those are the ones that you've got to have in a game like this. And he could not get that to fall. So it was just tough, man. It was like never once a game. That was kind of the story of it. Like, this Arizona team this year was fun. I mean, they started, what did they say on the broadcast, 23-0, I think it was. It's an Arizona team that was awesome all year, and they finished 36-3, and I mean, they're going to be one of the best Arizona teams, one of the best in my life, if not the best. And I mean, it's a program that hadn't made a Final Four since 2001, and they were my champ for the last month of the year, but I sadly have to scratch them off now. So, man, like, I will say, I think the can't win in March allegations are over for Tommy Lloyd, where they were like, oh, all he does is choke. I think he just knows that he has to build a roster a certain way. Now, next year, the freshmen aren't quite what Braden Burries and Cole Pete are. There's not those guys coming in this, like, kind of where those guys were technically like the second tier of guys in that class. Second tier of the guys in this next class are not that. So you're going to have to figure it out. I don't know if, like, I would imagine a lot of these guys are going to get returned. Like, these guys, a couple of them been around a while. A couple of them can't return, obviously. They've got to graduate. But, like, Mo Krivos been around a while. He'll probably come back for a senior year, I would imagine. I don't know what Karchenkov... I don't really know the mock draft or anything for Karchenkov. He's just a dang good basketball player. I don't know if there's, like, actually a draft stock for him, but I'd say Arizona could probably match whatever they offer him. But I mean, it stinks. I think Toby Awaka is a senior, so I mean, some of these guys are going to come back. But, like, this is the team that won the Big 12 regular season, won the Big 12 tournament, had a number 1 seed and made a run to a Final Four and got that monkey off her back and got back to one since for the first time in 25 years. So, I mean, it's a great year. It just stinks to end like with a flat tire here. It's just kind of like, well, dang, like, not that you weren't ever competitive in this game, but you really weren't ever competitive in this game. It was just like Michigan throttled you. And it was a buzzsaw, and I don't think there's really anything you could have done. Like, there was a little bit of, like, what I was saying with Illinois, where they just couldn't hit shots. Like, they'd get some good looks and stuff, and they just could not fall. But, I mean, overall, it's just like they haven't been able to shoot it well. They didn't shoot it poorly from 3. They just didn't shoot it a lot. And in this game, they kind of had to get more shots up than I think they would want to at times. But, man, the Michigan length just swarmed them the entire game. And Michigan's just the Michigan that we saw in November. Like, the Michigan that I remember filming podcast episodes and stuff and saying, like, this is the best team in history. They're just throttling everybody in Vegas. They're winning every game by 40. That was it. I mean, they were just absolutely killing everybody that they played. And yeah, they're just back to that. Like, their tournament run has been 101 to 80, 95 to 72, 90 to 77, 95 to 62, 91 to 73. Like, can Uconn really hang points wise? I don't think so. The line's already out. 7.5. I thought it was honestly going to be more than that. Not gonna lie. So, The one thing that was super cool that they talked about on the broadcast that was a cool takeaway, which may have affected this. I don't really know to what extent it actually would have, but like Michigan, Dusty May going into this, like they didn't even like really say what all they had done, but like he had prepped for this moment and prepped for April all year in the offseason, throughout the season, all this stuff. And then this week they rolled goals out to the big house. And they just rolled it out in the middle of the field and had them shoot on it. Like, that's just the preparation that, like, I think a lot of people just don't think about. They think that, like, all right, well, let's just keep shooting in the facility or whatever, and we'll just practice at University of Indy or something, and we'll just go get shots up and make sure we're hitting all these. But, like, it's completely different. Like, the first time I ever played in an actual bigger gym than, like, a high school that I had played at or something was Western Kentucky University. And it struck me like crazy. I can't even imagine what it would be like in one of the bigger college basketball arenas, let alone a NFL freaking stadium, Lucas Oil Stadium. I couldn't even imagine what that's like. And so that's why it's even more impressive to see dudes like Trey McKinney, that it feels like every time he dials it up, it's falling. And he had 16 points tonight. He had 4 threes. He was awesome. I just needed to talk about him for a second. Like, they're so prepared for everything that comes at them. Like, Arizona early on in this one kind of played like a soft drop coverage. Elliot Cadeau came off and he had like a floater. So then they kind of like adjusted to where they'd like make you respect that or whatever, but they like forced the lob. And a couple of the lobs early, like Mo Krivas was able to get to him and protect the rim a little bit on him, but then it was just a little bit too much, and they just score off of lobs, and they pick and rolled the death out of them. And it was just they pick and rolled the entire night from start to finish, and it was never stopped. But they're just completely prepared for anything that's thrown at them. And I've been wrong very, very often throughout this tournament. I just don't see a world where Uconn hangs. Like, it's just, if any version of this Michigan shows up, then I just don't see how it's going to happen. So I do have a few notes to talk about just going into it. The one fun thing is like Terrace Reed versus Michigan. I talked about in the Elite Eight once we got down to 8. There's some potential storylines based on how it was lining up. There's a few different ones, but then one of them that was on my list was like Terrace Reed versus Michigan, the team he transfers from, who he's brought up in interviews and different stuff when people have mentioned it and all this stuff. He's back. Like, he's playing Michigan. It's going to be cool. So he's going to be playing. I think Shedder might be the only former teammate that he had while he was there, just because it's a completely new staff and everything. But that was one big note that I wanted to bring up on here. The other one, I don't even know if this is really like a debate, and I think there's gonna be, if you're a Florida fan watching this, you're probably gonna call me an idiot. If you're who else? I don't even know who else is really like would be ticked about this. These are the best 2 coaches in the sport. Like, this is year 2 for Dusty May at Michigan. This dude already went to a Final Four with FAU, and what he did at FAU was incredible. He's already got them in a Final Four at 36-3. He's got him in a national championship at 36-3 and is a 7.5-point favorite over the guy that has 2 championships and now has his team fighting for a 3rd championship in 4 years, with a team that, frankly, throughout the year didn't necessarily look great. And that's why I had them falling early in this one. I just thought that version would show up, but who am I to doubt Dan Hurley? So it's the 2 best coaches in the sport. That's the most exciting kind of takeaway, and you can kind of look at it from that perspective of like, yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. These are 2 best coaches in the game. 2 very different coaches when it comes to sideline antics and stuff. But Dusty May's got a little bit of it in him if it needs to come out. And then the other one is how healthy is Yaxel. There were a few possessions there at the end. One of them, I think he even tipped it, or it was at least like annoyed by, Anthony D'Orso was annoyed by Yaxel's presence. I'll say that. Like, I don't really know how else to put it. He was right there closing out, and it was a great contest. Yaxel couldn't barely move by the time he was towards the end of the game. Like, he checked back in, hit 2 threes, miraculous stuff, flu game stuff. But by the time this game was towards the end of it, like, he just couldn't move. So he was like, there was a couple possessions, he would pass it, and Noah shot's about to go up and just start backing up. Instead of like the normal Yaxel would go fly and try to crash the board, or he'd at least sit around just in case they get the board. He's out there for a kick out. He just backpedaled to the other side. And then there was the one with Delorso where he's like walking or whatever and just kind of giving him a step, but like he's close enough to where if he needs to close out, he will. He just did not look healthy by any means there down the stretch. So how healthy is Yaxel is obviously a very key point of this. I don't really know. I think they said it was something with MCL. So we'll see what that looks like and see what ends up being the case with that. But I mean, if he's playing, I just don't see a world where Uconn hangs in there, and even without him, if they play anything like this, it is over. Like this is it. I mean, I know the what was it? The 2016 Final Four had the Oklahoma game that was absolutely disgusting. The like 40-piece. Yeah, 95-51. This wasn't that, but this felt like that at times. Like it felt like they could do no wrong in this one, and they led by as much as 30. Yeah, I think it was like 77-47 at one point. It was unbelievable. But congrats to Michigan, congrats to UConn. that one's just rinse and repeat at this point. The congrats to UConn, it's copy and paste, feels like every year. But man, here we go. We have a national championship set for Monday in Indianapolis. Also, I guess the only other note, leave a comment on your thoughts about the Chainsmokers. Like, they told us 8:49 this game was going to tip off Eastern, and it wasn't even close to that. Chainsmokers, which respect, they have some great songs, and a few of them took me back to like high school. But let's just like maybe make it like one or two. It just felt kind of odd because like the players went out and like warmed up without the jerseys for a minute, and then there was it felt like a 30-minute freaking concert, and then they're like, oh yeah, now you're good to go out, and then we're gonna tip off at like 10 o'clock. It wasn't 10 o'clock, but like it felt like that. So it was a little annoying, I'll be honest. Even though I didn't hate the music necessarily, I just need your thoughts on it. So that'll do it for this one. I will be back on Monday. I'll react to that national championship, and we'll talk about either the Huskies being, I believe, the third team in college basketball history to win 3 titles in 4 years, which is UCLA and Kentucky. And they would be the third to do so, and they would have their 7th championship, which would get them third all-time with the most. It'd be their 7th in 27 years, and that would get them third place above North Carolina and right behind Kentucky. Or we'll talk about Michigan getting their 2nd championship and first one since they won it in 1989. And man, they what a couple games tonight. I mean, they weren't, like I said at the beginning, it was a little disappointing. I'll be honest. Like Final Four Saturday as a college basketball fan, this is what you look forward to. Like a lot of the year where you're like, yes, opening day of college basketball season. Like that's a ton of fun. Like, dude, I feel like I just watched Florida and Arizona, and we just found out that Koa Pete was going to be the greatest player of all time. That it ended up not being the case, but like I feel like I just watched that. But like Final Four Saturday is something that you like. That's something you put on your Mount Rushmore list of games where you're like, all right, we're seeing the best of the best. This is a 1 versus 1, a 3 versus 2. You're getting something special here, and neither of them necessarily panned out. Like, thank you, Connecticut and Uconn. Connecticut and Illinois. You at least made it a little bit like interesting at times, where they cut it to like 4 and 5 late. But in the end, they ended up kind of winning. I guess you could say comfortably, because it was like Thomas Slavievich saved it. I want to say it was solo ball, had the breakaway, and it was kind of just over. But yeah, 2 games done. Final Four is over. We are down to Connecticut versus Michigan. We are very familiar with the Huskies and Dan Hurley at this point, but now we are in the new era of potentially Michigan being one of those top dogs in the sport, and they are now going for their 2nd championship versus Connecticut's 7th. So I'll be back Monday. Thank you for tuning in. Leave some comments and whatever your thoughts are on these games or my thoughts of these games and all that. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate it. Peace.